Hey guys, so I'm going to do something completely different that I've never done on this channel, but we're going to be looking at jellyfish. I know it's completely off the rails, but I mentioned that I'm getting a jellyfish tank and I wanted to show you guys what that all entails and what I would do, well, what I'm planning on doing to get mine. So let's get started. So this is the website that I use, Jellyfish Art. They're pretty much the big ones. I think they're the main ones in the United States. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So if we go to shop, and we go to aquariums, you see all of these. Now, they don't sell this one anymore. Let me see if you can see it. This one right here. They sell this one, not this one. This is the one I used to have. What I mean by that is the smaller one. It's called the what was it called? I remember one of the words. It's like I know nano was. I don't remember exactly. Nano. It's like a nano tank, and it was about $400. And I got the basic stuff. I got this. Yeah, it comes with the lights and all of that. It was about $400, which you see right here, $400. It's the nano, and it's a 3-gallon tank, which is what this 3 means. Came with the lights and all of that, and one jellyfish. But when you click on this, you don't see it. So they don't have the nano anymore. I don't know why they got rid of the nano. Now all you have is the 5-gallon tank. And I believe the nano only came in one color, the black. Well, this one is white. But I believe they only came in black. The 5-gallon comes in black and white. Yeah, the cylinder, jelly cylinder nano. But they don't have it anymore. See, click on this and it doesn't even show up. So, and these are new right here. The I don't know how to pronounce the word, crizzles, something like that. Those were added, I think, came out sometime last year. So what you want to do is you want to shop the cylinders, and the cheapest you can get them is $5.75, which is it's about $100 more than the nano. If I was gonna get one, I would get I want this 792 one. Maybe not the Pro. I want to try to get the cylinder by itself. That's what I want to do. Because you want to get the jellyfish upgrade. It includes the jellyfish in the price. It comes with some sort of coupon or something, or not a coupon, but a card or something, and it tells you to put that information in. And they give you the jellyfish after everything's set up. So they come with standard, deluxe, and pro kit. I would get the deluxe if I was getting it. I got the standard, which comes with jellyfish food. I never use the jellyfish food. Comes with the jelly salt. Jelly salt is expensive. I'll explain how to handle that later on in this video. I won't get in details until a future one, because I want to talk more about this. Um, they did not come with the Artemia. That's the shrimp. It comes with the shrimp hatchery and the live shrimp, and I think it's a day or two. What happens is once the eggs fall into water, you use the pipette, which I believe the pipette comes. It's a small pipette that is included in the Artemia kit, and then you use that to feed your jellyfish. So they're live shrimp. I use that over the jellyfish food. I never had a problem. You get your Jelly Bio starter. That's for the sponge in the back. You put your starter in, and you gotta wait a week. I'm gonna try to bypass all that, which I'll show you the setup that I would go with. Comes with the pump and everything. The algae cleaner. I never use the algae cleaner. It's this green sponge right here. This is a bigger pipette. That's for the food when it collects at the bottom. Again, I never use the food, so I never use that. This is the RGB lighting. It shines through the jellyfish because the jellyfish are clear. The jellyfish's colors are based on the RGB colors of the lighting, LED lighting. Then the Chemi Pure that sits above the sponge. I forget what it does exactly. It's charcoal, so it does something. It's like a neutralizer for the water, so the bacteria doesn't go out of control or something like that. Yeah, and this is the hatchery for the shrimp. So the shrimp are attracted to light, so there's a hole in the middle, and they go in the middle and use a pipette to. And then the eggs are surrounded on the outside. So you don't want to mix your eggs with the shrimp, or you're going to hurt the jellyfish. And then you get the deluxe kit. I would get the deluxe kit. It comes with the saltwater test kit. I did have that. They get the test tubes, but the test tubes are very fragile and they can actually break. And one of them was actually broken when I actually got the kit, but then I accidentally broke another one on my own. So they're very fragile. Trying to pull the cap off and then putting them back in the holders. And then you have your maintain for the jelly. The maintain is for the sponge after you do a water tank change. They recommend 20% of water remains, but I did a complete change on all the water. And there's a trick to that. And here you get the Pro Kit. You get the timer for your lighting. And you get the backup battery for your air pump. You get the temperature controller. This would be a I think they're still called. What are they called? I know what it does. I just don't know the name of it. It's a what it does is it shakes your salinity, which is the same thing as a is it a hydrometer? That might be the wrong word, but it tests the salinity in the water. And this is a digital one. That's an analog one, and that comes with even the standard kit right here. I would have my own setup if I was doing this. So what I would do is, and I did this before off camera, and at the time these are out of stock. You can't get these. I don't know if you might be able to get them on Amazon, but I would go with this one that they give you. And they actually gave me, for some reason, they gave me 2 remotes when I got my other one. There's also another strange thing that you can't buy, and it's the air pump. I don't know the difference between the two. They don't show up on these, and it's not in the... Even if we go to the more expensive one, you go to Pro Kit, it only shows that kind. So I don't really know. But this is... All these are 5 gallons. Yeah, they don't have the nano. I haven't had one of these. I know that jellyfish are very high maintenance. But if you like numbers and you like spreadsheets and stuff like that, that might sound strange if you're used to doing fish tanks. But there is definitely a setup to this. I came into it knowing that it was high maintenance. Now, they didn't tell you that on YouTube. I can show you the spreadsheets that I had set up. Actually, I can show you that right now. Maybe I can get it fitted on. Just show you an example of what mine looked like. Should be somewhere on... Should be somewhere on my iCloud. Where would it be? Trying to look for it. I don't even remember what I named it. Let's see if... No. Trying to look for it. Here it is. Why can't it... Oh. That was weird. It was not made in numbers, it was made in pages. Why would I do that? Definitely needs to be in pages. I mean, numbers. I just saw it. Where'd it go? I literally just had it on the screen. It's in iCloud Drive. Okay, now I see it. Oh, okay, I remember this. Yeah, it was made in pages. For some reason, I don't remember why I made it pages, not numbers. Anyways, this is what it looked like. This is a setup I had. I kept track of tanks and everything, so I'm gonna switch this. Let's see how this looks. Okay, that's not so bad. So you see the salinity. I tracked the salinity, and it was all conditional. So if it was too high, it'd be red. If it was too low, it'd be a different color. I checked the ammonia, nitrate, and I checked the tank. There was a master container, which was, I think that was the tank. It wasn't a tank. It was a bucket where I put the jellyfish in, and then I tested the water. I forget exactly. Yeah, it was when I was doing water changes. I put the jellyfish from the tank to that bucket, and I would track how much it was. And all of these numbers are tracking the bottles, the gallons of water that I had, and I had them marked for numbers, the salinity, and if it was too much salt or if it was didn't have any distilled water in it, because you have to use distilled water for jellyfish. You can't just use spring or tap water. In the master container, that was that container I put the jellyfish in when I was doing water tank, and the tank was 1.026. So yeah, and if it needed more salt, it would be red. If it was fine, it would be this. But then if it was too high, it would have red numbers, and that's how I kept track of it. Very technical. Um, so let's switch back to Atlas. Where is Atlas? Can I not get it back? What is going on? I don't like when OBS does this. It doesn't show. Oh, there it is. So at the very top. I don't know how I missed it. Anyways, that's what I did. So what I would do instead, I would just buy stuff. I would just go one by one. Like I wouldn't do. Well, I would do this. The egg refill for this. So I would do this. See, and this is what it looks like. You get the light in there. Another thing that you could do, I didn't do it, is there's this plastic piece that it's this. You lift it up and then you pour it in there. That would be too much shrimp for the jellyfish, so I didn't do it that way. And this is for your egg, so you dip that in your egg thing, and then you go around the edges. Careful not to put it into this middle part, and then the shrimp find their way like a maze to the center. And that's how you handle it. So I would get one of these, and they hatch within 24 to 48 hours. The highest yield is pretty much room temperature. Jellyfish, they don't need heaters unless it's very cold. They can handle, I think it's 65 degrees to 80 degrees, which is room temperature pretty much. Now, if it's winter time, I'm working on that. We have pretty good insulation. We are buying the best insulation for the house that I'm moving to. All the properties on this, well, all the houses on this property have the best insulation. It's very thick insulation. So I don't think we have a problem, but if we do, I keep up with that, but it can get very cold. But usually in here, I mean, I know I say it gets really cold in here, but I have a heater in here and I got the front door right there. So I don't really have the best setup right now. And we're going to have mini splits. The primary concern is the mini split that we're going to have, because mini splits don't really work well in the cold, and it can get very cold. But again, it depends on the insulation and the room size. So it might be a problem, it might not be, but I'll keep track of that. So it says that this package of shrimp eggs can do 24 hatches. But you can go on Amazon and you can buy like a huge container. So I'd buy this, and I'd buy, well, if you want to know prices, I'll go ahead and do prices. So buy one of them. It comes with this egg, this bag of shrimp eggs. You don't need another one of them. You don't need stability. I never use stability. Primer, you don't need prime. Another thing I would buy would be, and this is where it gets weird. I put air pump. It shows the air pump for the nano model. It doesn't give you the bigger one. Now I don't know what the difference is. That might work. I don't know. I don't know why it wouldn't work. And you can buy a small moon. They have small, medium, and large. And then they have these quarterly maintenance kits. I don't know if I would do that. I see that they have 5-gallon bags right here. And the reason why I had those containers was because the jellyfish salt. The jellyfish salt, you don't just want to throw, to a jellyfish tank, the salt is like gold. You don't just want to dump that out in a drain. I'll show you what I did about that. You do want to get this Kimmy Pure Nano pack. That's what I did. So add that to your cart. It did show in the cart what other things we needed. So I guess you could buy that too. I don't see a problem. The airline tube. Rigid airline tube. Does that not come with a tube? That would go. I think that would go in the back. I know it goes in the back somewhere. I guess you'll need that too. Why do you need two of them? The back plate cover. The back plate cover is what you put on their slits. I don't know if they updated it in the new one. This looks like if I had to give a guess, this looks like a nano. Yeah, right here it says nano. Yeah, the nano was that size. And those are large jellyfish for that tape. I guess there might be a water disposition problem with the nano, because if you have three, one, they're small for 3 large jellyfish. Another problem is, if you have 3 large jellyfish, you might have ammonia buildup, and it can get out of control. Maybe that's why you need to go 5 gallons and not 3. Just my guess. But this would go in the back, so your jellyfish wouldn't get pulled. I didn't have that problem, but I have heard that people were having that problem. But I didn't have that problem. Suctioning onto the back plate can be caused by excess algae growth through skin by for help. If the flow is too high, it can cause excess suction, and it would suck the jellyfish, and it would get stuck. Sometimes it would actually damage the jellyfish. It talks about an airflow control valve. I didn't have that. Didn't need it. Didn't use it. Didn't give it to me. I know it was a added part. I just didn't reuse it. Let's see. The live spiral sponge. This is what I would get. So we're adding that to the cart. When you put that in the water, you don't gotta wait a week for your starter to work and all that. You don't need starter when you have that. Just make sure I didn't put soda on here. Um, um, did not need that. The LED lights, when I last came in here, it did not, it was out of stock. The remote only. Yeah, that's out of stock. I don't know. Yeah, color LED touch remote. Yeah, this is out of stock. I don't know if I would buy that from Amazon. They probably do have different kind. They probably do have that same one, but it's pretty much the only thing you can't buy on the website. That's the only thing I wasn't able to be able to buy. Power supply for the LED lighting. It's interesting that they sell this, but it doesn't come. Does it come with the plug? With manufactured by Jelly or desktop model, the original Nano model, and the first cylinder 5 model. Okay, so it does work with the cylinder 5, which is 5 gallon. They come standard with all 2020 and above models. What else would I get? There's a lot. Let me go rate those aquariums again and make sure I'm not skipping anything. Got your Kimi Pure, you got your starter. Well, you don't need your starter, like I said before. You got your main. You do need maintain. Oh, and this is a siphon. I didn't use that either because I just do a complete clean. I had the shower head. You know, you can adjust it. And you use a jet and you just spray off the algae. And that was my determination of when to change, do a water change would be if I saw algae and it was blocking the view. So when I got to that point, I just did water change. You do need the saltwater test kit. Let's do test kit. It is expensive. It is expensive. Well, it was this one. It was $40. It's probably the most expensive thing separately. Yeah, and here they are. They're very fragile. They're very thin. And that's what you used. You had one ball, then you had the second one, and sometimes you forget, and then you gotta redo it again. You gotta rinse it out. Yeah. So you need to add that. Let's see what else. You needed, what was that other thing? Oh, you need to maintain. You need that for your healthy bacteria. It was one capful with the 3 gallon as well. After every water change, recommend for weekly use as part of your water change routine. They recommend a weekly water change. I didn't do weekly. I did a. It was about maybe. Of course, I only had one medium-sized jellyfish, so it was about maybe a month, maybe a month and a half. It was whenever you saw that algae build up. Yeah, this is the nano. Yeah, yeah, the minimum water, and this was your maximum fill line. Yeah, and this is one of the slots I was talking about. And right behind there is your sponge, and you slide your sponge in the back. And then, and yeah, then you have the tube. You have the plastic piece of tube, and you slide in the glass, or maybe it was plastic, that rigid part that you saw earlier, and connect that, and you slide it down behind the sponge, somewhere around the. I don't remember if it was the front or the back, but you slide it in there. Actually, I think there was a slot to put it. Yeah, you gotta remove that, and then I just took the entire tank, and then I just squirted it out. But I did use to collect the water. I used a water pump that you put at the bottom so I could drain in like 30 seconds into another large container where it was actually a. What did I put that in? I don't remember. Maybe. No. Because how did I do that with 3 gallons if I only had 1 gallon jugs? I don't remember. But I remember one day I did that and I thought I caused a fire. Like I was I was doing the water, putting it in, and then I lifted it but there was still water in the thing, and it shot out. It got all over my desk. I don't know how it happened, but the LED light turned red, and I thought that was like a spark or something on my desk, and I thought water got in my power strip. It actually got water was actually on the floor, and it actually got in my monitor, like in the power supply of my monitor, and it was actually um, buzzing for a few days, and now, it really concerned me. Um, but it cleared itself up and it stopped buzzing after a day. But I thought that was a problem. I was like, I gotta be careful what I'm doing next time. But then the fire happened like a week later, which had nothing to do with the monitor, by the way. I thought maybe it did, but no, it was actually there was a group of batteries in the garage, and one of them actually imploded and actually started a fire. It was one of those cobalt. I believe it was a cobalt. It was either that or a DeWalt, and it was one of those drill batteries. You know what I'm talking about. Um, you will need your water. I mean your salt right here. I try to look for this, and they're the only ones who have this. I don't know about aquarium salt. I recommend just using the salt that's on this website. So put 1 gallon of. So you need to put reverse osmosis water or distilled water into a mixing container. You could buy that at the store. Again, that's a lot of bottles. That's a lot of salt. That's a lot of money. And if you're talking about 5 gallons, I mean, look at this, 2.5. If you do the math on that, let's see if we can times 5 equals. Why doesn't it do it? If I do 2.5 times 5, that's 12.50. That's $12.50, not including tax. That's like $13 for every water change. That's a lot of money. You do that 10 times, and that's 120. Yeah. Expensive. But that's not the one I would use. I would not go for the 1 gallon unless you had to. It says never use tap water. what I did was, the first time I did this, I had that huge bucket that I mentioned earlier, and I poured the water in there. That was what, 3 gallons of water. I poured 3 gallons of distilled water, and then I got the biggest metal spoon I could find in the kitchen, and I just went upstairs, sat on my bed, and just stirred it constantly. And that's what I did. What I did later on was I would get a bottle, put the salt in, and just shake it. Worked just as well. Better actually. If you see the salt clump at the bottom, then you just shake it more, and you turn it upside down. Make sure you hold your thumb above the lid, so that never happened to me. But if hold your thumb so it doesn't spill. But what I would do is get this 5 gallon, and yes, it is $10. So that's $10 for every water change if you're doing a full water change. But you can separate that. You don't separate it by the gallons. You separate it by the salinity. You want to check your salinity. Always make sure you want to add less salt than add more, because then if you add too much, then you're going to have to balance it out later on. You don't want to do that. It makes it difficult. So this makes it says makes 1 gallon of seawater each bag creates 1 gallon of salt. No, it's actually 5 gallons of salt water. This they just copy and paste it from the other one. You need to update that. Update that. Yeah, it's for 5 gallons of salt water. It says it right here. It even says on the packaging, put 5 gallons of distilled into a mixing container. Of course, you get 5 gallons of salt water doing that. One bag makes 5 gallons. So yeah, you're going to need this. At least 2 bags. That way you can have, well, maybe not 2 bags, because that's a lot of salt water. I had like you saw here, I had 8 containers of salt water. You could go for 2. You could go for 2 bags. I'll show you how to reuse it. Because I definitely kept mine more efficient. It is a lot of maintenance, because it comes with the salt water. You trying to keep that salt water. And it is 150 here, which isn't bad. Of course, you don't have the lighting. Let's see what else. Yeah, this is what I would do. And then you'd add these aquarium by itself. Set the aquarium by itself. And right here it's $7.24, which is already cheaper than the other stuff, because you're not. It's much more customizable. See, and when you have your salt water, see, you get your 5 gallons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's $50 right there. You get $80 for your creamy pure jelly food, but you're not gonna. I never use a jelly food. You get your jelly bio-maintain. That lasts a long time. Quarterly is 4 months. So, is quarterly 4 months? How long is quarterly? It is 4 months, isn't it? I think it is 4 months. Because you divide by 4, divide by 12 would be. No, that'd be. Anyways, I think it's 4 months. Let's see what it says down here. You only really need to get those nano packets, but you are going to go through, if you're doing a, a water change every 1 month, let's say you do it every month, once a month, that'd be 5 months right there. So quarterly, you'd have 5 months, not 4 months. One packet treats 5 gallons. Um, Need you maintain. I did a few. I think you could. I think you could get away. I know that cap looks really big, but I think you could get. Actually, I think it was half. Was it half a cup full? Or was it the full? I don't remember. I think it was the full cap that you pour that in. I think that could last you 4 months. Now, if you do 1.5, then yeah, you get a lot more. Yeah, you could do 6 or 7 months that way. Around there, maybe 8. Um, but most of this price comes from the salt. That's a big thing. I'm gonna show you the trick. Hold on, I will show you the trick around that. So, they're still selling the Nano Jellyfish package. I didn't get the Nano Jellyfish package. That's a lot of money, $131. Now, that's more expensive than a lot of fish. I know people who buy a lot of fish, but 131. I think, but it's like $20 for like the small ones. I would get the. I want to try to get a medium one and like 2 large ones. Yeah, your jellyfish aquarium has the cycle 46 weeks if you don't have that starter, if you don't have that sponge, that pre-sponge. Now the sponge comes included with the tank, but if you buy the sponge with all the bacteria in it, you don't gotta go through the cycle. But you have to cycle it for 46 weeks, which is a long time. That's 2 months. I had to do it. It sometimes takes shorter time. I think mine was like 2 or 3 weeks, but I had to save money for the actual jellyfish. So let me look into this. She shows a dual air pump. That doesn't exist. Um, I think that's the nano tank. I don't think that's the big 5 gallon. Maybe it is the 5 gallon, because that's pretty wide right there. Um, it might be the 5 gallon actually. Yeah, this is a different setup. This slot was not on the original that I had. Yeah, the sponge goes in a different place too. That's interesting. What's going on here actually? Yeah, the back has. Oh yeah, the back has the tube, and then it slides in the back. Yeah, it has a sealant for the tube, which you see back here. Yeah, this is the 5 gallon. Mine was not that big. You have jellyfish on it, and there will be an imprint on your ceiling from that. And this is the LED light, like I said, it shows the colors jellyfish it sheds do. There's also that. Mine was cyan, mine was blue. Let me actually look at my photos and see if I can find one. They might be in here. A lot of photos on here. Yeah, mine was blue. I had mine blue, and so I'm gonna switch to that. So this is a video I'm about to show you. This is what mine look like. See how small it looks? Mine was not that big. And you see right here is my right here you see is the shrimp hatchery right here. Let's see if are there any shrimp in this? I think those might be shrimp that you see over here. These little specks you see right here. So yeah, I had a small one. I actually had a medium size. It's big. It looked. I mean, I guess you could say that it looks small. But yeah, it's set on my desk. This is all salt, by the way. I don't know what. Also, that's another thing. Is when I was doing this, especially with your saltwater changes, because when you spill water on your desk area or wherever it goes and the water evaporates, it leaves behind salt. And that's what this is. This is salt. And it can get all around. So it is not a... It's not a low maintenance project. And I had LED rows right there. So you can see how that worked. And this is definitely bigger than mine, so this is 5 gallon. Let me go back into Alice. I keep opening Safari. So, yeah, that's moon jellyfish. Three to 5 large jellyfish. So what I would do, I would probably get, for me, I would probably get 2 mediums. And I'd probably get 2 larges. I don't know. I want to kind of, I don't want to make the, I know they don't really care, but, I mean, I kind of want to have them like all the same. Like, have them balanced out in size. Like, don't have like 1 medium and 2 large. Maybe have 2 medium, 2 larges. So yeah, this is what in there. Oh, we were about to make a mistake, guys. That's what I was looking at. I saw that un that unusual side of the corner of the sponge. I was like, why is there only one? So this is the one we want. Which one was the one that I actually got? Cylinder 5. Okay, it was the same one. Wait, no. No, it wasn't the same one. This is the one we want. So yeah, 724. I probably, by the time I get this, I'll probably get the full thing. So I know I'm getting a light. The lighting is the only thing I want to make sure I have. Yeah, it says right here. It was in my cart. I removed it, replaced with that one. So you can get the small, medium, and large. Maybe I did get the small. Did I get the small? Extra large. Extra large. That'd be cool. Maybe I'll get 2 larges and 2 extra larges. Maybe. Depends on how big the. I'll probably get the largest, extra largest first, though I know I have enough room. I mean, I know 5 gallons is a lot, but let's see. So what I would do for the water, I'm not logged into Amazon on Atlas, so we can. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. So what I did was I would buy a distiller, and this is one I have. This one I bought. So what I would do is what you do is you put your tank water and you put in your distiller, and then it boils the water. It kills all the algae. Algae dies. I think it's 158 degrees. But that water is going to be boiling because you need to use that steam, which goes through tubes, and it comes out through here, and it's distilled water. It removes the salts, it removes the minerals, it removes everything. And then what you do is this makes 1 gallon of water. So you're going to have to do it several times for 5 gallons. But what you do is you take that, you pour it in your containers. So you do that, and what's left over in here is very concentrated salt water. So you pour your salt water in another container, and then you balance it out. You alchemy with your salt water. You're using water this time and not salt powder. So that saves you on that salt. Now, when I was doing that, I don't know why it happened, but whenever I did that, I would test for ammonia, and the ammonia would actually gone. It would be very low. I thought there was something wrong with the test, but then I'd use one of those sticks, and I put that. It said the same thing. So I don't know what's about that. I heard that you can't boil ammonia out. I heard that ammonia is just things broken down that you can't get rid of. But whenever I did it this way, there was no ammonia left, so it was only salt water. Wait, no, it was well, it wasn't just ammonia. It was also nitrate and nitrite. But I think that nitrite is what breaks down and then it creates ammonia. And then there's nitrate, which I believe good bacteria creates. You don't want it too. I forget the ratios, but yeah, all that stuff was normal whenever I did it this way. I'd boil the water, distill it, mix it in another container, and mix it back in so you get your perfect salinity. And that's what I did. So in here you want to have stainless steel, and that's an important part. You want stainless steel, like on here it says all parts in contact with water are stainless steel. In the stillers that aren't like this, well, there's also this one. Is that a timer? If it has a timer, I could deal with the timer. That's $139. I had this one. It's the cheapest one. But then there's this one. Like, you see how it's copper, it's not stainless steel? They got a lot of these now. Because before they only had like 2 different versions. Is that a timer on this? Alright, yeah. That would be, I would like that. Because what I'm doing now, and what I did back then, so you can make 8.16 gallons per day with that. But, what happens is, if it gets too low, it would actually cake on the bottom. And that'd be, and in the case of a distiller, if you're trying to cake that salt water is going to be caked. And what you're going to have to do to get rid of that is you're going to have to use citric acid, and then it completely destroys your salt water, and you're going to have to dump it all out if it gets too low. I run my distiller. This one is 1.6 gallon. This is the one I use. It doesn't have a timer on it. It's the basic. It makes 6 gallons per day. So you can still do your 5 gallon just fine. It takes 3.5 to make 1 gallon. But still, you could do it. It might take you 2 days, actually, realistically. But yeah, it's still stainless steel. I did not use there's a carbon filter you can add to this part right here. But I didn't use that. It still came out fine. You also got that charcoal in your jellyfish tank, which acts the same way for that. Yeah, so it says clean it with citric acid. See, this is going to be cake. This is going to be your salt right here. Your $10 worth of salt. And then I'm going to the bottom of that. So use that. I bought a big container of citric acid. You can, I'll show you that on here. Please leave some water at the end of distillation. Will minimize lime skill. So I run mine for 3 hours and 30 minutes. Oh, that reminds me. I got to go back over there and check it because I was just running it and it might have overflowed. Because I distill water now for humidifiers. So, yeah. So I keep it running for 3 hours and 30 minutes. I have a smart plug, which is why I mentioned that timer before, that you can set the timer where you don't have to boil at the bottom and it just stops. Actually, that's a good idea. Where is my phone? Here it is. Gotta look at my smart plug. Still running. No, wait. Could be off. It turns off in 12 minutes. So this is what it looks like. That's the app. It's connected to my distiller. It's connected to the Wi-Fi. It works anywhere. That might be a good idea to turn it off right now. I'll go over there when I finish this video. So yeah, that's how you save your salt. That saves you so much money. I mean, at $66. Well, the one that I would get would be this one with the timer on it. Make sure you set it. That's $139. But think about it. After within a year, is it $50 for salt in 5 months for 5 gallons? $10 a bag, and you do that a year. That's $120 right there. So you're saving a lot of money with that. Bonus if you have a humidifier. And I'll show you the container I use of citric acid. I got a huge thing of citric acid underneath the sink. Just this one. It has a weird brand name. I can't. Someone just typed that in and whatever, but it works. I use it for my distilling. I don't just use it for distilling. I also use it for when pans or pots get stuff burned to the bottom. You just put all that citric acid in, and put a little bit of water that covers it, and then you put on high heat. And the less water you get, the more concentrated the citric acid becomes. And it works really easy. It will burn off the top layer of your tongue. And probably the roof of your mouth it's some intense stuff, guys. But yeah, it's $46, but it's worth it. Cheaper than the salt. And I've had my container. That's a lot. That's 11 pounds. That's a lot. You only need like a little bit like that small for a distiller. Yeah, that's what it lost me 2 years already when I did that. See that it shows my location up there, which isn't exactly my location. But anyways, I just wanted to go through here, show you everything I would buy. I don't know about the dual air pump though. It did not show up. That doesn't look like a dual air pump on the. You get a black and white. After I got the black one, I believe they only came in black. The Nanos did, but everyone wanted me to get the white one. But now I'm going for a different. I'm going for a theme in my room, so I'm getting the black one. So let's see. We already went through this. You don't need your stability. I didn't need it. Oh yeah, it does have the dual. Does it have the dual? Yeah, it doesn't even have the right. So I would definitely. What's the replacement part? Can we find a replacement parts? No, it just shows the nano model of that. This is sold out. Emergency battery powered backup air pump. I would get that. Maybe. There's that glass tube. I believe it's glass. Could be. I don't know if it's glass or plastic. Could be either one. You don't need that. Not the big one. Mini siphon. Don't need that. Replacement scoop for baby bird jellyfish. No, don't need that. This should, I believe that comes with your shrimp kit. Does it? I don't see on the list. If it doesn't, then you need to get it. $5. That's a lot of money for that little small thing. But you need that. Can be pure. I don't know why they would offer that, because you can't use tap water. You shouldn't have any chlorine. You want to have chlorine in distilled water or reverse osmosis. Do not get the prime. If your jellyfish tank needs prime, you're doing something wrong. You messed up somewhere. But yeah, it doesn't. There's no dual pump here. It only shows the nano one. So I don't know. It might still work, but But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just seeing these pumps, and they're all the dual kind. So I would do a. I mean, it's okay if you did the. It would be okay if you did this. See, that's weird. See, look. What, you saw that, guys? Look, you see this dual air pump right there. And then look what happens here. It shows it here, but look at that. It's the white one. And it's in the Pro Kit too. Like, what is that? I don't understand. So this is $7.92. If you want to spend a little extra money, it's not bad. But you get the light. That's what I would do for the light. So it's not bad. But yeah, go through what I told you. You could buy this and then use my stuff for what you would really need, because that's all you need. There's other things too on here that I would get. Here's what I bought. Air pumps. I think it was like 520 gallons an hour, something like that. It's one of these. I bought two of them, but I realized that one of them couldn't fit my tank, so I had to buy another one. Yeah, I think it was one of these, and it was one of these, and I got the biggest one that could pump out the most water. And also bought the water pump, the piping as well, food grade, of course. So you get one of them, and then you get tubing that can actually fit. They give you adapters, and they got a ton of tubing. Just look for food grade. Or for home use, you could do that too. Was it food grade? Yeah, food grade tubing. And you just cut it to size to what you need. Only in this video. Yeah, you do that. I had the black one, I believe. I just cut it to size. Yeah, one of these black ones. Yeah, it's I also had I believe that's all I had. That's all I used. Um, so you can drain the water really fast, especially for 5 gallons. You definitely want something that can drain that much water really quick. What else? Um, you need test strips. The API does have them too, which also makes the saltwater test kit. You can use that one. I think I went with like one of these, which checked a lot of those things. I think it was. Oh, okay, they like this one. Had the blue thing. I don't think it was that brand though. But yeah, you can buy the test strips. I recommend both. I recommend both the test because I think the saltwater test kit couldn't test for like one thing. Someone you also want to make sure that your water is being properly distilled. So you want to check that. If you're going to use tap water, you could distill tap water and do it that way. I just started with distilled water, and I just created a backup, a feedback loop. It worked for me. Um, what else? Oh, the accessories. So what I used was something known as a refractometer. Refractometer. Yeah, it was this exact one, the brand ATC. So how it works is you you get your pipette. You take this little pipette right here, and you put your salt water in there from the tank. You put it on this blue thing, and you close the plastic piece or glass. I think it's glass, and you look at it at light, sunlight, LED, whatever, and you see where the line ends, and that tells you your salinity, and it's more accurate than doing one of those plastic things that they. It's better. It's more accurate than this thing right here, where it curves. Those are called hydrometers. This is a refractometer. This is what you would use, or you can use a digital one. There's different kinds, but you want to make sure that it's salt water, seawater. See, it shows you the line where it is. the blue line. You point it, like I said, you point at a light, and you also can calibrate it. You use calibrating solution. So yeah, that's what I was using. You want to make sure that you have your calibration solution, salinity. Um, this is what I was using. I used accuracy. That's the exact bottle I used. So yeah, to make sure that it's properly calibrated. Yeah, it's a string arm. It's called a string arm hydrometer. What this is, what that's called, swing arm hydrometer. Um, what else? Um, Temperature control. You don't need one. It's room temperature, like I said, before. But if it gets really cold, then you would have to you would have to use a heater. I would never use a heater unless I absolutely had to. I'll show you a setup that I'm coming up with in case I have to do that, and it's a pretty sophisticated setup. Although there was one. There is well, it's not really a downside. I mean, you could just use a. I'm not gonna go too much detail about this, but I will be using one of my UPSs. Well, more of my EcoFlows. I'll be using a Delta Pro. I'm buying a Delta Pro. This is a Delta Plus 3, but I'll be using a Delta Pro to handle the other side of the heater with a smart plug. But if you don't have one of these, you could just use a smart plug, which you saw the app for my distiller. I use one of them. Although I am planning on getting one of these. I have to know. I can't remember the exact number. Well, once I do this and set it up, I'll show you guys. I think it's the 110 that I'm getting. It's the HP 110. If it's not 115, it's one of the two. No, that's not it. You can also, because you can manage your energy management. That's what I would use for the heater. Because I don't, the heater, I would not trust the heater. But anyways, and you have temperature probes and all that, and it's a huge, sophisticated process. It's fun, and it's something that I would be interested in, what I could definitely create. But yeah, so yeah, guys, that's what I wanted to show you guys. I believe that's all the things that I would get for a jellyfish tank. You could just go to, I mean, I wouldn't buy the Pro Kit. I probably wouldn't buy the Deluxe. I don't know what's going on with this pump right here. That's my main concern. It might just be part of the picture, but actually, come to think of it, that's shorter than, isn't that shorter than this one? So they're using the, it looks like they're using the nano image for the, no wait, it just, no, they're just upscaled. The tank is upscaled because the jellyfish are getting bigger. They're the same jellyfish, but it's just they upscaled this but kept everything smaller. Strange. So I don't know about that pump. That's the only thing I can't make sense out of. But if I was going to get this, I would probably get this one. If I was going to buy a tank with all of this. But notice you don't get the sponge. You're going to have to do a 4 to 6 week cycle on that. So without this, so it says this cycle process can take up to 6 weeks plus. It says it's more than 6 weeks here. Skip the cycle with the fully cycled bio sponge. Not shipping a sponge. You must select FedEx 2-day express with the fully cycled sponge. You gotta need that for your tank. I'm sure that I don't know if they would ship the tank at the same time as that. I'm sure that they would be included together, unless there's some. Yeah, they would have to do that because without the tank, without the water in the tank, then your bacteria would die. So they would have to give you the tank with it, or while pushing this kit at the same time. You will receive the 40 sponge in water. Live sponge in water. The sponge is added back to the back of your aquarium in place of the original sponge received with your kit. The large jellyfish can be acclimated and added to your aquarium. I guess you definitely need to. I would do the tank first, based on what this says here. Added back to the aquarium in place of the original received with your kit. So yeah, get your kit first. Get the aquarium first, and then you get the sponge. You're also going to need to get your saltwater kit also, or your test strips, and make sure that your aquarium water is 0 parts of ammonia and 0 parts of nitrite. If ammonia or nitrite are present, a 100% water change must be done prior to ordering the skip the cycle kit. So you just add distilled water by itself with the salt water, of course. Then you could use this. Typically, this would be the case if cycling parts was started at home but not completed. So if you were doing a ammonia and nitrite, then that would mean that I would imagine that would mean that you were doing the cycle, but you decided not to, and you created a situation where the bacteria is going to get out of control. So you definitely want to use just plain salt water and plain salt water that you mixed, and then you add this. instead of going back and trying to fix it, adding this because you'd be wasting money again. Double check that you're ordering correct sponge size for your aquarium on nano or cylinder 5. And you got pictures here. Actually, maybe that was there. I don't know. I don't remember. Um, that's the right one. I like the white. The white is actually pretty bright, but I'm going to go with black. We're performing 40-50% water changes once a week. Um, you don't have to do that. Like I said, boiling water kills out most algae, especially the algae in your jellyfish tank. The lid has a cutout of jellyfish and it makes also light design on the ceiling. That's what I said. It's on the ceiling. Um. So you can do a 100% water change with the distilled water as long as it's mixed and using the old water from your distilled mix. So it all has that bacteria in it, and it doesn't shock your jellyfish because if it's you drain more than 20%, you're gonna shock your jellyfish, and that's not a good thing. So if you use similar water with the same salinity as you had before, especially if it came from the same tank, your jellyfish is gonna be fine. Yeah, and that's what it looks like on the ceiling. Of course, this is further way down. If it's closer up, then it would show up as one. Just saw that. The setup is somewhat complicated, but that is most likely because I've never had an aquarium. But it's very customizable. You can make it much more easier than what they do. I think this is gonna be my longest video yet, guys. Um, but yeah, that's what I would do. I'm not sponsored, by the way. I just was I know that people like they're chick magnets, by the way. I know that a lot of girls like the jellyfish. it, when I had mine, they sure loved them. Um, but yeah, you can see this stuff on YouTube. They won't be showing you the stuff that I've told you about, but it is very complicated. But if you're willing to learn, if you like numbers, if you like getting everything precise, then you should get one. It definitely is not something that you just sit back and just drain the tank, and because that's a lot of money. And even then, you're going to be you could be causing problems because of the how much water you take out and creating a shock for the jellyfish. So you do want to be mindful of those kinds of things. Just going through here, see if I missed anything. So this is the one for for the 5-gallon tank. So I don't see anything here. I can't comment on the crucible tanks because, like I said, I've never had one of them. But yeah, guys, I'll end it here because I talked about everything I need to talk about. But I will be ending this video soon, and I'll see you guys in the future. So yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys all this stuff and thought it might be interesting for people who might be interested in having a jellyfish tank and the thought that can be put behind it and everything. So guys, I'll end it here and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.